Hey, what's up, guys? It's Teacher Ben. This is my fourth video of the day. I've gone into a lot of advice about pursuing your Olympic dreams, pursuing professional athletics, and I want to kind of use a case study here to let everybody know what works as far as college athletics and what works in professional athletics. So I can tell you that I did earn four or $500 as a professional runner, quote unquote professional runner. If you call a guy who earns $500 a professional runner, I think my expertise on this may be very limited. Does that stop me from having an opinion? No. I may be. I believe I'm pretty smart as far as what's really happening in sports. From a young age, I was able to memorize very minuscule statistics. Um, you know, so uh, yeah, and uh, what I want to say is that I did follow certain athletes, and there were news stories, and who knows what the news media is doing with these stories, but I do want to go into a case study here. This is of the attempt to be a professional athlete. This particular athlete I want to examine here is Tim Tebow. Okay, so and really, as far as an athlete, who is cool looking, my idol was always Kobe Bryant. Now, as far as a person who's leading a wonderful life, and I'm not going to say Kobe didn't lead a wonderful life or didn't have a good heart, but what I am going to say is that I believe Tim Tebow was really one of the better hearts. Okay, so and I do want to say that I believe that this athlete Tim Tebow, when he was in college, I do believe it definitely appears that he was praying to God for his he was saying, God, if this is your will, let me become famous so that I might uh, glorify your name. Now that worked extravagant. Okay, nobody can really criticize a guy who proclaims God, because even if you don't believe in God, you can't really criticize the lifestyle because there's no proof behind any of these feelings. Okay, so you do, by proclaiming God, you will look good socially. Okay. Now, is that the right reason to proclaim God? No, no. And I do want to say that I heard on the radio, don't look for your earthly father for advice, look to your heavenly father for advice. Okay, so I think that this led Tim Tebow. What did he win? Two national championships. I do believe he inspired his football Division One coach to be a better person, to be a better Christian. And so you know I can't really say because I don't really know these people. I do believe that if I had been on that team, I do think this guy would have been a nice person. Okay, so um, now let me examine what happened in this particular case to Tim Tebow once he tried to go professional. Okay, so what I want to say here as a precursor, because I think most people know the end of the story, um, is that professional sports, you have big egos, you have kind of a cluster. I don't want to use this word, but a cluster, FUCK, of what's really happening. You may have people who are very gifted genetically, who can be professional athletes with the wrong heart, you know, uh, and they may play sports for themselves, uh, and with earning millions of dollars, they may be very lost and they may be playing for themselves. So the professional athletics is really a cluster, FUCK, of people, of athletes, and I do believe that, there may be good Christian professional athletes. You know, I met one at a Athletes in Action basketball camp. The guy's name was Rod Foster. So there may be good people who get the job done as as Christians. Now let's examine what happened to Tim Tebow. Okay, so I believe he was drafted by the Denver Broncos and didn't really get a lot of playing time until injury struck the guy who was given the starting job. I think maybe the first and second guy got injury bugs, and then Tebow gets plugged in as the third string. Okay, so the kind of knock on Tim Tebow was that he didn't have good mechanics. So what happens is Tebow gets in the game and he may get 150 or 160 yards, which isn't a real great statistic line, and probably 50 yards rushing. But what I do want to say is that this guy, I believe, was a leader of men, and he inspired the other people on the Denver Broncos football team. He inspired other professional athletes. Uh, so what happened was, I think they won 3 or 4 games at the end of the year, got into the playoffs, and I think he led them through the wild card and maybe one more game and into I believe it was the AFC championships where they did lose. Um, but what I want to say is that, you can say what you want about the statistics Tebow was putting up. You can say what you want about his arms, his mechanics. Uh, and it may be very legitimate. I have no idea what a throwing motion of a quarterback should be, and I'm definitely not a coach. But what I can say is that, from what the news media portrayed through ESPN.com, etc., Yahoo News, it seems that Tebow inspired his teammates. I believe there were teammates who really had his back. Now, uh, it seems that the coaches, even in Denver, didn't want to deal with a guy who couldn't uh, get his mechanics right. So they did trade him to the New York Jets. And the New York Jets said, well, we don't really want you as a quarterback. Let's have you be a fullback. And, we may let you be a backup quarterback. So I do think that, like I said, professional athletes is, in my opinion, and I may have no legitimate, a very small pool of legitimacy when I say this, but I did say the athletes are kind of a cluster, Fuck, of ideologies and egos and personalities. I want to use that word personalities because there may be a lot of truth to their personality too. Um, do I agree with it? No. But that goes for professional athletes. It also goes for coaches. I do think, uh, if Tebow had ran into a Christian coach, we may be talking about one of the greatest professional athletes ever. So I do think that, you know, there's a very, I don't believe that the coaches who make up professional athletics are necessarily Christian people. All right. I may be entirely wrong, and I may be very offensive to, if there are coaches who are Christian people and they're watching this, they're like, what is wrong with this guy? But I do think that looking at some of these coaches, I feel like they're not Christian people. You know, I can say I have read some books about some coaches, and they don't necessarily talk about Christianity. They do say they stepped away from Christianity. So, and I can't really say that this case study here with Tim Tebow really points to him running into Christian coaches. I do think, uh, and I hate to say the guy's name, everybody probably already knows it, but the guy he ran into at the New York Jets, I don't think he was a Christian coach. Now, maybe he knows a lot of truth, and he definitely uh, should be exonerated as a guy who was successful in coaching moderately, okay, at the professional football level. I don't think Tim Tebow got a fair shot, why? So, um, and I don't really want to go into the chances, but into the opportunities about blaming who did get the starting job. But I do want to say that, um, I do think that all of the fans were essentially like, why is the other guy starting and not Tebow? Everybody, there are so many fans who love Tebow. I think it put a lot of pressure on the guy who got the starting job, and the guy who got the starting job was kind of like, do I deserve to be here? And it kind of ruined his career too. And then we're essentially like, hey, now that the season is ruined, let's give Tebow a shot, and let's give him 4 or 5 series, and if he doesn't perform, we're gonna yank his ass. Okay, so I don't think that's right either. And it's kind of like, hey, now that you've spent 67% of the season sitting on the sidelines, not getting a chance, all of a sudden get in there, get in there. You're kind of thrown into the war all of a sudden, and essentially, Tebow doesn't really do a wonderful job uh, given that chance now that he's thrown into the mix. Um, and then we essentially have a period where he tries to walk on with the New England Patriots, but the kind of reputation is, this guy is kind of a distraction because the fans want him to play. He doesn't have the right throwing motion. I think that was unfair to him, but it's kind of like now that you've kind of had a horrible year, now we're going to ask you to get back in there right now and turn it around right now, and I don't think that was right, and I do think Tebow tried very hard, and even like one year off and then trying to be a professional, what was it, a tight end, and so he's trying all these positions because the coaches don't give him a chance at being a quarterback. They're misdiagnosing his ability to lead the men as a social leader. Okay, and they're misdiagnosing. If we do give this under talented guy a chance to lead the team, will he come through at the crucial moments? I believe he would have. Okay, and he's trying to be a fullback for the New England Patriots. This is not going to work. You can't really train yourself at the age of whatever he was, 28, 29, a different position, so that's weird. And then he goes on to the Jacksonville Jaguars, tries to be a tight end, and he's trying to reinvigorate his baseball career at the age of 30. It's really weird, but hats off to the guy's effort. And he always gave God the chance to give him the opportunity to shine at professional athletics. And what I want to say is, I've talked to one of my friends about this, and that is, um, maybe there's a reason why God doesn't really shine through in professional athletics. Maybe God doesn't really give a shit who our professional athletes are. Okay, does He really care who is the leader on ESPN.com, who gets adorned on ESPN.com? Okay, so yeah, so you know, and so what I want to say is, God bless Tim Tebow for the accomplishments he made in college and giving it a try at professional sports. So uh, the idea here is, what I want to say is, I don't really think that these people who are the leaders of the coaches at the professional level, and your general managers, the guys who are owners, they may not really uh, have a relationship with God. They may, but I'm just want to say I don't think they do. So you know, so if you are an aspiring professional athlete, uh, I can say, give your life to God and go for it in college. It may work in college, but I'm not sure it's going to work at the professional level. Okay, so uh, just let that be known. That's my opinion. Have a nice day, and God bless everybody. I apologize for the negativity I've expressed today, and we do need to kind of read the book The Secret, that it makes us in tune to our positive feelings. So I apologize for all the negativity, but I do think we need to talk about the truth here. Have a nice day. This is Teacher Ben. Bye bye.